So here's 5 steps to get out of a digital rut. It's These are the 5 steps that I use to get out of a digital rut whenever I find myself in one, which is when you overindulge in things like video games or doom scrolling or watching bullshit entertainment brain rot content on YouTube or Netflix or things like that. So if you're in one of those periods right now where you're just a fucking dopamine goblin basically to these things, your screen time is through the roof, this is going to be perfect for you. So the first step is to realize why you're in a rut in the first place and what it actually is. And this is crucial, by the way. Don't skip ahead. This is crucial. So a rut is basically a period of time where you're overindulging in something and you're not doing anything productive. And in this case, we're talking about digital, like technology, and basically being hooked to your phone or your computer screen or some shit or your TV and wasting so much fucking time on that shit. And the main thing that actually keeps you in this rut and has kept me in ruts quite a lot of times in the past is something called dopamine. So dopamine, you've probably heard the term a lot online, and you've probably seen it on some podcasts and stuff. Fuck, fuck these voice cracks, man. Who cares? But basically, dopamine is like, if I had to explain it to you in a very easy to understand bro science kind of way, dopamine equals motivation. So let me explain why that actually is relevant here. So when you are when your dopamine is getting spiked, it's going through the roof. You're getting a lot of motivation, and you've probably heard that. For example, scrolling, like when you scroll, you spike your dopamine levels and you fry your dopamine receptors, which basically means that you are giving your brain a fuck ton of motivation to do something because it's frictionless. And in this case, it's swiping to the next fucking like scrolling to the next little TikTok or some shit, right? That's uh that's where you're getting dopamine for and motivation for. Dopamine isn't actually like the actual reward, the actual feel good feeling is not actually about that. I thought it was, but actually turns out that dopamine is more about the pursuit of the thing rather than the actual thing. So it's about the pursuit, the motivation, to get something, which in this case is, for example, to keep scrolling or keep playing the video game or watch the next bullshit Netflix episode or some shit of a fucking little blue pill show where the dad's always the fucking bumbling idiot. But that's a side point. Netflix is a fucking propaganda machine. Talked about this shit yesterday with my boys. We came to the conclusion that in basically all Netflix fucking shows and stuff, movies, the guys are like they're always fucking weak. There are no big strong men on Netflix anymore. And if there are, then those guys are antagonized and basically made villains, really. So that's just a separate side point about Netflix and stuff like that. But yeah, so dopamine is what your brain receives in order for it to crave, or basically when your brain gets dopamine and dopamine is spiked inside your brain, you crave the next hit of it. You want to experience it again. And this is some evolutionary shit. I don't need to get into that in this video. Maybe in another one. But basically, all you need to know is that when you are in a rut, you have basically fried your dopamine levels to the point that they have been spiked. And then what's happened is that they have, like, basically, you have a baseline of dopamine that you have just 24/7. And then when you indulge in something that is highly dopaminergic, that you get a lot of dopamine from, like for example video games or scrolling, it spikes temporarily. Let's say just um, your baseline of dopamine is 100 dopamine points, DP, 100 DP. And then when your brain starts thinking about, oh, actually I should go play this video game because it's really giving me a lot of feelings of achievement and accomplishment and adventure and brotherhood and stuff and status, I really should go and play this video game. Your brain gets dopamine, it gets motivation, so it gets more DP. Let's say your DP spikes up to 100 or 150. Or no, sorry, spikes up by another 100 to 200, and then to 250, and then to 300. You're in a fucking like I was in a Overwatch comp game. If you've played Overwatch, you know what I'm talking about. I was in a Overwatch. Let's say I'm in an Overwatch competitive game, and I'm playing. It's overtime. I'm trying to kill the others. It's so fucking hype and all stuff. I got boys in the party like chatting with and stuff. We're all screaming. We're trying to win the game. It's fucking hype. Fuck, it's fucking hype. My dopamine levels spike up. But then afterwards, when you're done with the thing, when you stop playing, when you go to bed or some shit, when you have to go to school, for example, let's say I was playing in the morning or some shit. Motherfuckers playing in the morning these days. I don't know, but basically, when you spike your dopamine levels and then you stop doing the thing that spikes them, you just do another activity like school, for example, like work, like gym. Your dopamine levels actually go below the baseline. So you might have gotten up to 200, 250, 300 DP, and then when you go back to your baseline, to your just normal state of life, um, like when you're not doing anything, when you're just sitting like this and just not doing anything, then you're at, for example, 75 DP. And then if you keep indulging for another week or some shit, it goes on to 50. And then what happens is that the normal things that you could do, like for example, study or go to the gym or work on a business, or attend a martial arts class, they they aren't as attractive to your brain anymore because your brain has it knows that it can get this dopamine from these frictionless sources like scrolling, like video games. And the lower your DP, like your baseline DP is, the harder it's going to be for you to do something that you're not that you don't have a lot of motivation for. Like when you have indulged in bad habits for an entire week straight without doing anything productive, your brain is only going to be motivated to do that because it doesn't like your brain is always going to search for the path of least resistance. Like the human brain is just programmed for laziness because wanted to wanted to be like conserve our energy when we were on the savannah stuff back in the caveman days. So we're always going to be on the lookout for the source of the thing that we want. Let's say it's stimulation of some sort, like the sense of status we get from video games or something like that. We're always going to search for the thing that gives us that the easiest because our brain wants to conserve energy and our body wants to do that too. So which means that if you are, for example, if your brain is going to choose between going to the gym and going and play video games, it's always going to always going to choose to play video games. And what that looks like is that you have a lot of motivation to go play video games, but you have none for video games because, or sorry, fuck, you have none for the gym because it's just not as it's not appealing to your brain at all because it could get the same dopamine. Like, sure, you could get status from building a great physique and having a top 1% physique, but that takes years and hard work and effort and sacrifice. But with the fucking with the video games, you can just hop on, call your fucking Discord friends, hop on the game, boom, fuck up some dudes, on the game and stuff. You get the little badge icon or some shit in your video game and you level up. It takes hours, not years. So basically, the reason that you're in a rut really is that your dopamine levels have been spiked through these bad habits, and then they've gone down below the baseline, so that the normal productive habits that you actually want to do, they're not appealing to you. You don't have any motivation for them because your brain is just ultra focused on these other things because they're so easy and they're so dopaminergic as well. Um, so it becomes this downward spiral where the more you do of fuck, it's windy, man. I apologize if the camera's like going back and forth or some shit, but I'm out here in nature, man. What can you expect? So basically, your dopamine level spikes and then goes down, and then it creates this downward spiral because when you indulge so much in video games, for example, you like your brain isn't satisfied with anything else. It wants this thing. So you keep doing it, you keep doing it. This dopamine is just get worse and worse and worse. Your baseline keeps dropping, it plummets, and it's so hard to get out of it. Which is why people are stuck in a rut. Which is why it's called a rut, not just doing a bad habit once, but because you're stuck in the sort of phase, and the mode of just indulging in these things. And then also another thing that I've noticed is that when you are in a digital rut like this, when you're scrolling, for example, if you're a guy like me that want to achieve great things, you're ambitious as fuck, you wanna you wanna make a lot of money, you wanna build a great physique, um, even though it might sound a bit superficial or whatever, you want to get status, you want to make progress in life, you want to become the best version of yourself. Like if you're watching this kind of content, I assume you are that kind of person, right? If you're not, if you're like a normal, I'm not, I know you're not that kind of guy, like a fucking normal peasant with a peasant brokey ass mind or some shit like that. I know you're not. So if you're a guy like me, which you most likely are, like our interests and values, they probably overlap with like 80%, if you watch this far into the video and you watch my other videos and stuff. So one thing that I've noticed and that's been relevant for me is that when you do indulge in these bad habits, you want to numb the pain. You want to numb the pain of the shame that you're feeling because you're feeling shame when you do these things. You feel it in your heart, in your soul, in your spirit because you know you shouldn't be doing them. And it's there's something called escapism, which is when you are escaping from the actual reality of your life and you're going into these screens because you you just want to numb the pain. You want to escape from the pain that comes from the shame of doing these bad habits by keeping doing them, which is just a fucking ultra massive downward spiral, you know. Because if you've just like the average person, if we locked them in a room, like for example, if we took one of the guys from my school, like my class, and locked them in a room, they wouldn't be able to stand it. They need to be constantly stimulated and distracted, because if they're not, they are perma, like, because of the fact that they're not happy with themselves, they know that they're indulging in video games and doom scrolling and even things like fapping and junk food and alcohol and stuff. They know that that's just bad for them, but they keep doing it, and basically that creates shame, really. And like you you instinctively want to numb the pain, like you want to distract yourself from this shame, you want to escape it, get away from it, because it feels bad, but it is what really um, is required. You have to feel that feeling of shame in order to take action, in my opinion, or at least most of the time. So you do these bad habits, you play video games and stuff, you indulge and you fucking scroll, get 10 hours a day fucking screen time, and then you just want to keep doing it because whenever you stop, you're hit with this massive wave of shame, and you're just like, what the fuck am I doing with fuck, what the fuck am I doing with my life, you know? And yeah, man. So you just want to numb the pain, and you're stuck in the rut, man. But so that's really why it's cold out here, man. I need my fucking I need my other hand in my pocket while I hold the mic. Have to alternate and shit. But so that's really why you're in a rut, or that's at least why I occasionally get into like micro ruts, and why I did get into ruts before. So the step two, the first step to actually fixing this, apart from realizing why you're in a rut and what it is to reset your dopamine levels. So when you reset your dopamine levels, what happens is that um, you you get your baseline DP, dopamine points, up to the level that it should be at all the time when you're not doing anything. And in in this like you wanna, like, for example, you were born as a human being with a certain dopamine level, right? You were born, like, if you just been dropped in a forest or some shit, I don't know, some fucking shit like that, and you hadn't been able to, you weren't able to indulge in any technological devices or anything, you would just have a normal baseline of dopamine, and we want to get you back to that. Of course, we can increase the baseline as well. We can make it higher through things that require discipline, but that's kind of a separate point. But really, we want to reset your dopamine levels when you're in a rut. Because if you don't do that and you just try to go straight ahead and do the good habits, like going to the gym or some shit like that, studying, work, you know what I mean. It's gonna be a lot harder, and the likelihood that you slip up and just snap back to the bad habits is incredibly high because your dopamine levels are so fucked. And it's just a lot easier and faster, in my opinion, to just do it this way. And so basically, what you want to do is that you want to not actually attempt to do the good habits, you just want to eliminate the bad habits. So, for example, you might like I want you to, for the next couple of days, if you're in a digital rut like this, I want you for the next couple of days to not try to do productive things. I only want you to, like, your full-time fucking job is to stay away from these bad habits, and I want you to literally just waste time. I want you to sit in a room, do nothing, or at like what I think is acceptable is to do things that are at your sort of um, dopamine level. Like, for example, um, you might have a surplus of dopamine, of motivation for things like video games, video games and doom scrolling, and you might have a deficit of dopamine for things like going to the gym and doing hard shit like martial arts or working on a business or something. So basically, what I think is acceptable at this point is to do things that are like are at your dopamine level. Like, for example, if you find it kind of fun to go and swim, or like rock climb, or do some outdoor activities, just go for walks, like just be in nature like I am, stuff like that. Stuff that don't require discipline but also aren't like very dopaminergic, like video games and bullshit like that. Fuck man, I don't know. I don't really know I'm getting these fucking voice cracks, but you'll just have to live with it until I'm fucking a grown man or some shit, you know? I'm 17 at this point. But yeah, so I want you to reset your dopamine levels. I want you to be very, very mindful of your thoughts and like the motivations that arise inside of you throughout this process. And I want you to be very vigilant with things like I don't want you to rationalize anything. I don't want you to give like excuses to indulge in these bad habits again. And I'm not gonna lie to you, it's gonna be hard. You know, it's gonna be uh, exceptionally hard, especially if you're surrounded by people that encourage you to keep doing it. Like if you're in school and you have people that you play video games with, you have Discord, like gamer friends or some shit, or you have people that you are connected with on social media, like Snapchat, for example, and you indulge in short form content on Snapchat. You send these gay ass little pictures to your fucking friends or some shit in school, or they're not actually your friends if you do that, but that's a side point. Um, yeah, so just try to reset your dopamine levels, and it'll take like probably about 48 hours if you don't indulge in anything. At least that's how it is for me. And then when you're done that, you can move on to the next step, which is step 3, which we'll cover now. So by now, if you're watching this, you should have reset your dopamine levels. You should feel a genuine difference. Like you should have felt like you should have um the feeling of motivation, like your inner state right now. It should be drastically different than what it was from like when you were in the rut that you were in 2 days ago. So don't like. Of course, you can still watch this preemptively. Like, let's say you're not in a rut, like right now. If you're not in the digital rut, you can still watch this and just have this in mind. Like, just learn about dopamine and preemptively um, protect yourself from ruts. So by now, like, you should either way, like, of course you can still, if you're in a rut right now, you can still keep watching this video, but I want you to for the next couple of days, I want you to focus entirely on step 2, which is resetting your dopamine levels. And then when you're done with that, you can come back to this video and join me for step 3. So step 3 is to create your own timetable in Google Calendar or any sort of calendar. So just quick backstory. A like a timetable is when you slot out every single like um, every single hour and like time block in your day. You fill it up, and you fill up your calendar with things that you're gonna do. Like, for example, in school, they assign you a timetable. They tell you you're gonna show up at this time. You're gonna have math here. English here, social studies here, fucking some other, I don't know what motherfuckers like, uh, PE or some shit. At this time, you're gonna have lunch here and stuff. They assign you a timetable because it is absolutely effective at increasing productivity, and they do it in the military as well. They tell you you're gonna wake up at 5 a.m. You're gonna do 7,000 push-ups or some shit. You're gonna do 7,000 push-ups, then you're gonna make your bed 500 times, and then you're gonna do this stuff for 5 hours, and I'm not a huge fan. Like, just a side point, if you're interested in my personal life, basically in Sweden we have something called conscription, which is that uh, you're basically obligated to undertake like 9 to 15 months of like basic military education. So basically, if the government wants you to, like, they'll take all the, like, basically they'll take the 18 years old year olds of the country of Sweden, which is the country that I live in, that I'm from. They can basically take anyone they want and assign them military service, like that they're gonna be in the military, which is fucking, like, I fucking hate that shit. I think joining the military, if that's your purpose, fine, but if it's not, like, in general, going to war for your country, if you're living in a Western country, even if like any country, basically, I think it's a fucking scam. I don't think that we're fighting for our nation or our, like, people anymore. I think we're fighting for these fucking globalists, elite fucking matrix idiots. Or perhaps they're not idiots, perhaps they're quite smart, but really, I fucking hate conscription. I hate fucking having to go to some military camp and stuff. There's probably like a 1 to 5% chance that I have to go. Probably more like a 1% chance. Like, cause like every year, all the people that turn 18, they have to, like, they pick out some, like, about, I think it's about 5% of the total, like, people from that age group, age group. And I turn 18 later this year in October, and they pick like 5% of those, about 5,000 people, I think, or perhaps it's 10K or some shit. They send them to some military camp, train them to become military people. They don't have to become soldiers afterwards, obviously, but if I were to be sent to that shit and it would rob me of a year of my fucking life, I wouldn't be able to tolerate that, bro. Fuck no. They can put my ass in jail. I'm not gonna that fucking place, bro. Fuck no. So really, what was I even gonna fucking say? But basically, you make your own calendar, your Google, like, I use Google Calendar, right? So you can go into Google Calendar and make your own timetable for your ideal day. So at this stage, I want to introduce you to a term called a basic attack. I learned this from a guy called Hamza Ahmed. He's a big YouTuber. I fucking love that guy. Lots of respect to him. Um, and he taught me this thing called the basic attack when it comes to productivity. So in video games, like, you should be familiar with these terms, because you are or have been a video gamer. So a basic attack is the thing that you just naturally revert to when you don't know what to do. So for me, that's reading books. Like, if I'm just going through my day and I don't really know what to do, let's say I'm on the bus or some shit, I get a random pocket of time here, I'm just gonna open up my book and start reading. And um, really, what I want you to focus on in with your timetable at this point for the next couple of days is to nail the basic attacks, like the self-improvement habits, this sort of little bit easier things, like, for example, reading books and meditating, um, and going for walks and stuff like that, speaking with good people. I want you to nail that before you try and go the absolute hardest thing, which is actually doing the special attacks, which I call, or like for example, doing the actual gym workout, the intense fucking gym workout, or the martial arts class, or the deep work business work session, or the hyper focused study session if you want to get into fucking university or some shit like that. I want you to do the self improvement sort of easier habits beforehand, because I want you to progressively overload it. And it might, if you're like me, if you're an ambitious guy, you kind of have this, metaphorically, like, big dick energy or some shit. You're not a fucking little whim pussy or some shit that thinks self-deprecating things about yourself. You know what your capabilities are. You know what you're capable of. You might think that this is a bit below you, that you should just be able to jump to the good habits immediately. But I'm telling you that you can do that, but the likelihood that you snap back is significantly higher than if you do it progressively, because your brain and body is designed to do things progressively, right? You know, 1 second, I'm just gonna check my phone because I record these videos with my back camera. I'm gonna check my phone so that the like so it's actually like recording. Yeah, it's recording, because there have been times before when I've recorded these videos and the storage for my phone has just filled up or some shit, and it stops recording. So that was reassuring. But really, so you fill up your Google Calendar timetable. Like, you're going to your Google Calendar, you set the times for when you're gonna sleep, when you're gonna eat, when you're gonna go to school, and stuff like that. The things that you like, the sort of um, the backbone of your timetable, and then you just fill out the other times with basic attacks like um, you know, reading books, listening to podcasts, like watching unedited talking head videos like this one, meditating, for example. By the way, meditation is a fucking incredible habit for regulating your dopamine levels and stuff. It's literally the antidote to doom scrolling, in my opinion. You know. So you fill out your day with these sort of habits. Nothing crazy like fucking going on a fucking massive 2 hour workout or some shit, or going on a big run, or trying to work for 5 hours straight or some shit. Um, I know that you might want to, you might not think, like, you might think that like this kind of mindset is below you, but I'm telling you, it's like you're gonna make more progress in the end. Um, so I want you to try this, and then when you have nailed this for 1 to 2 days, you can do this without struggling. You know, you can start adding in the special attacks like the gym workout, the like basically your just ideal day. That if you did this thing, like, or did these things in throughout your days, you'd be 100% productive. You know, just map out your ideal day in Google Calendar. You know, and yeah, that's really been a like it's been doing that for me. It's the backbone of my productivity. It's the backbone of everything for me when it comes to living a like being on self improvement, instead of having this timetable. Because when I'm off my timetable, I'm not gonna lie, I'm so much more likely to just consume some bullshit content that I shouldn't be consuming, or playing some video game. I don't play video games anymore, but for example, I might go on to like a I'm quite interested in chess, or I have been at least, and I might go to like an online chess platform and play some online chess games, which is obviously not as degenerate and as other video games, but I still consider it a video game, which is why I I'm quite ruthless actually with staying away from that shit. But when I'm off my timetable, I'm a lot more likely to indulge in bad habits, which is why I had my basic attack in the first place. Um, and so basically now, when I don't know what to do, I just revert back to reading for me. So when you have when you've done these easier self improvement habits like reading and meditating and stuff, speaking with people, maybe doing things like, going on a going on a walk in nature and stuff. Once you've nailed that, 1 to 2 days it should take, then you can start adding in these special attacks, and then you just your best to keep up with that. And then and that's actually step 4, to do the special attacks. But then step 5 is to set up some sort of structure that prevents you from falling back into a rut. So for me, that that looks like a couple of things. So firstly, I have like these small micro things that sort of remind me on the path that I'm on. Like, for example, I have a like basically all the things that I have my entire brain mapped out in Notion. Notion is a software that is like a note taking software, and I have my Notion account where I can go in and write some stuff. I write my goals. I write my um, I have a digital habit tracker in there. I have some other stuff that I want to like keep in mind. I have a list of books that I want to read. I have like quotes of people that I want to remember. So I just go into Notion a couple of times a day, really, and I can check out the stuff. Basically, my planning is in there, apart from my calendar, like my timetable. So in Notion, for example, I have written down these things, like these reminders, like squeeze water out of stone. If you're even if you're fucked up before, my phone storage got filled up, so I had to yeah. But basically, I have things written in Notion. It's not entirely irrelevant with the things that I've like the sort of specific reminders for me that I go in and check daily and stuff. But I have quotes written down, and that helped me to stay on this path. And also another thing that I have is like I've added a screen time widget to my home screen on my phone. So whenever I open my phone, I can see the screen time of the day. So that keeps me accountable as well. And it's kind of like a game. You want to get a high score or like a low score. In this case, it's a bit like a video game, the same kind of dynamic, which is very powerful, obviously, because it's not like if we can leverage the powers of video games to our advantage, like for that's hugely powerful. Like for example, if we use our video game mentality in the gym and try to level up there, try to gain, try like a lock in and stuff, try to gain XP, trying to increase our skill in this, like increase our bicep, fucking, you know, curl more weight or some shit. That's hugely powerful, obviously. So if you can leverage, that's just a side point. But if you can leverage your monkey brain like that, it's in my opinion, very much worth doing so. But then a more powerful accountability structure is gonna be if you have some sort of like people in your life that keeps you accountable, like a social accountability structure. So I'm actually one of the lucky ones. I've got a couple of guys in my life that are on this path of self improvement, masculinity, discipline, and stuff. But if you don't have that, but like because basically everyone's a fucking moron these days, a fucking retard, fucking degenerate. Every like let's say you're in school, all the people there, your classmates are fucking retards. All the people, even your parents, you don't relate to anymore because they don't understand self improvement or anything like this. Their whole mindset on like money is all fucked up and stuff. They want you to go to university like a fucking peasant, and then basically all the people that you meet are like none of them are on this path. Then it's really set up actually, and most people are like that, like the people that are on this path. But I'm actually not, because I have my big brother and our best friend and another guy that I've like I've known all these guys from a long time ago. Obviously, my brother, I've known him in my entire life, and the other guys I went to school with in my first school from first grade to like sixth grade, fifth grade, I think. I went to school with them, so I haven't found any new guys on this path that I just found because of like I haven't actually connected really with any new guys, but those guys I've been on this journey for them or with them since the start, really. So I actually have that. I'm one of the lucky ones that have people in my life that I share values with, which is fucking incredible to say. But yeah, if you don't have that, then I would highly recommend you going to online communities. Like for example, Hamza Ahmed's one, I think it's called. Um, he's got Adonis Gang, but you can also go into his new one, which is called like his new free community, which is called Get Rich or Die Trying. Um, I think yeah, you can go check that one out. I'm gonna be in there and stuff. So yeah, man, if you can like if you have any other like account of things that you can think of that will keep you more accountable to this path, then obviously use those. But those are the main two like sort of buckets that I choose from, like these small micro things that like sticking up pieces of paper on your wall that remind you, like a habit tracker, um, or just your goals, or just fucking page that you where you've written, like a blank piece of paper where you've written don't be a fucking video game addict or some shit, like I don't know, but something. Or for example, you add your home screen, like to your home screen on your phone. You add the screen time widget, so you just it's kind of like a game. It keeps you accountable as well. And then if you can connect with other people, you have some sort of accountability buddy or something. You let's say you have a you connect with some guy in an online community, and you hop on a call every day or every other day or something with him. You speak about life, and you guys keep each other accountable. That's gonna be hugely powerful because we're at the end of the day, humans are like herd animals or some shit, and when you have people in your environment that reinforces certain behaviors, it's a lot more easily like you can do it a lot more easily. So yeah, man, is there anything more I got? Remember who you are. Be a light in the mist. If you read Warriors, it's a book series, my favorite book series. I've been reading it since fifth grade. You'll know what I mean. But be a light in the mist, bro. If you want more help with this kind of stuff, quitting digital addiction as a teenager, staying away from doom scrolling in video games and bullshit brain rot content and stuff, you can check out the link in the description. It'll take you to my personal program that I've made. I really think it's good. Really think it'll help you if you like my normal content stuff. But yeah, man, that's about it. I'll catch you in the next one, bro. See you. Yeah.